Hello everyone, Tactical here, and welcome back to another Omens of Destruction battle. Once again, we're playing against Warhammer, both sides fielding some DLC units, so let's jump into the army builds and see what is on the field. For the Khorne army, played by yours truly, a front line of Marauders, backed up by some Wrathmongers, basically Doom Seekers of Khorne. Instead of having chain axes, they have hammer flails. Very solid attack profile and great weapon strength, 78 melee attack with Frenzy active and 88 weapon strength as well. Behind them, even more DLC units, the Blood Beasts of Khorne. Seems like their performance is actually quite subpar, but let's see what they can actually do in battle here. 149 weapon strength definitely can wreak some havoc among enemy lines. They're flanked by some Khorngors here, and that's basically it for our army outside of some Furies on the side. That's because the Wrathmongers and Blood Beasts are quite expensive and drain away a lot of our funds. Leading the army is a Blood Speaker with the Blood Sacrifice healing ability, Wild Abandon to increase melee attack and prevent entities from dying. Gruesome Display to reduce enemy leadership and attack, but that's about it, since I only brought him on horseback instead of the Khorne Chaos War Shrine to save funds for the elite units. A Blood Reaper on a Blood Shrine though, having the Eternal Blade to boost his melee attack, and also just adding melee attack to surrounding units with the Totem of Endless Bloodletting. That's it for our army builds here, and on the other side for the Greenskin army here of Warhammer, front line of goblins and, well, just more goblins on the front line, backed up by some squig herds. There's also 2 units of Mangler squigs, essentially 4 bloated corpses bundled together with really good damage potential, 50 attack, 40 defense, just swinging around really hard to hit and can wreak havoc among enemy formations. They're backed up by even more elite melee units, the Crimson Killers and the Black Orcs with great weapons, led by Gorbat Ironclaw himself, who is a really good supporting unit with the Great Leader ability, which can boost nearby units with plus 10 attack and defense, making them a lot more elite than usual. Now for the mobility, some Orc Boar Biggins, one of them the Broken Tusk Mob, and that's basically it for the Greenskin main formations. They're supported by 2 heroes, one of them the Night Goblin Big Boss and 1 Orc Shaman. Without further ado, let's get the battle started. Battle begins. Both sides don't have any missiles, so we're just rushing towards each other, trying to get that melee going, but we are cautiously positioning our army so that we don't expose too many weak spots on the formation. Let's go into fast forward a bit here, just to skip the marching phase a bit. For the heroic support, the Orc Shaman is coming in with a couple of buff spells. Fist of Gork and Here We Go synergizes really well with the Great Leader of Gorbat there, making those already buffed up troops even more effective in melee. And also, the Night Goblin Big Boss comes in with a Squig Summon, actually 2 Squig Summons. Great for flanking enemy units, providing some more additional anti-infantry damage. Now, we are getting close with those armies, but we're still not engaging, so let's do a little bit more fast forward here. Goblins and the Marauders of Khorne will soon be clashing as the dual weapon Marauders are charging into the Goblins. Should be able to cleave them asunder, but here comes the Mangler Squigs, mangling those poor Marauders of Khorne with their splash attacks, though they themselves are taking quite some damage in return, as the Blood Speaker and the Blood Reaper are both here. Even the Wrathmongers are charging into combat, the Blood Beasts as well, saturating on top of those melee block fights, really trying to beat back those Mangler Squigs. Some of the Mangler Squigs are taking some more damage now, but here we go from the Orc Shaman, boosting that melee effectiveness of even the Goblins here. Just absolutely trashing my Marauders in melee combat, the Mangler Squigs doing a lot of damage so far. The Blood Reaper though, getting a little bit ahead of himself, plunging deep into enemy formations, surrounded by Black Orcs and pinned down by the Orc Shaman as well. The Boar Biggins and the Squigs have been activated, being thrown into melee as well, though my Khorngors and Furies are being held in reserve. A terrible news for me, the overextended Blood Reaper completely surrounded by enemies. Broken Tusk Mob, Black Orcs, Night Goblin Big Boss, Gorbat, and the Orc Shaman. Yeah, there's no saving the Blood Reaper, especially everything here being buffed up by Gorbat plus 10 attack and defense. Mangler Squigs getting low in health, 2 of them has already died, so some explosions happen in the middle of the Marauders already. And the Wrathmongers also down to less than half health. On my left flank, I don't have much defensive forces, so the Orc Boar Biggins and Goblins are advancing. The Wa is on, and my right flank has taken quite a lot of casualties from the Squigs, Goblins, and Savage Orc Boar Biggins. This unit of Mangler Squigs is getting low in health, surrounded by Wrathmongers. They will be exploding in some expensive infantry here. taking roughly 20% of HP off from this unit. Using Wrathmongers against Mangler Squigs is definitely not great for me, as their HP could have better spent elsewhere fighting Black Orcs and whatnot, but instead they're just dying in vain to the explosions and splash attacks, forcing me to use a blood sacrifice to sustain them. Khorne are saturating in to block up those Black Orcs, and on the right flank, the triple Greenskin characters are here, buffing up all these Greenskin troops, and even the Blood Beasts are taking more and more casualties. Gorbet's melee buffs are making sure his friendlies are all fighting with an advantage over my troops, outmatching the rather flimsy melee defense of the Khorne units. Khorne on the left flank are holding everything all on their own. Mangler Squigs, Broken Tusk Mob, another unit of Orc Barbarians, some Goblins and Squig Herd as well. They're definitely surrounded and overwhelmed, but thankfully their Unbreakable trait will soon pop and should help them hold on a little longer. Some Black Orcs over here routed off by rear charge from the Furies earlier, and now the Khorne with Horn of Khorne buffing them are trying to fight the Crimson Killers, though the Crimson Killers getting an even better melee attack buff. Here we go, so the Khorne are definitely not winning this one. Khorne on the left flank are down to less than half health now, and you can see they are now unbreakable, holding on against impossible odds, pinning down all these Greenskin troops. Jumping back to the right flank, the Wrathmongers are still holding fine, but the Marauders and the Blood Beasts are all taking a lot of damage, especially with the Squig Summon flanking them. Goblins are still holding thanks to Gorbet's stat buffs. Furies are diving down, though the rest of my front line has fallen apart. That means the Broken Tusk Mobs are free to push through my front line here, getting to the rear position, charging into some tattered Marauders of Khorne here, alongside some battered Orc Barbarians. This right flank is pretty much my last bastion of strength here. Blood Beast managing to beat back the Night Goblin Big Boss, but they themselves are not long for this world either. Furies are jumping in to help the Blood Speaker out against Gorbet, but most of my troops at this point are already gone. Some Black Orcs will chase off my tattered Khorne, and all I have left is pretty much just these Wrathmongers and the 3 models of Blood Beasts. The Marauders are long gone, being chased down by the rest of my opponent's mobility. I'm beating back some Squigs, but the problem is that army losses hit. Even if the Wrathmongers still having over half HP, that doesn't matter anymore, which is a shame because we can't see them fighting to their death and maximizing their value. Anyways, with the last Furies fading back into the warp, that shall be victory for the Greenskins. Once again, GG to Jaima for the game, and seems like the Mangler Squig here, probably one of the best units in the entire DLC. Getting some solid value over time, just shredding enemy infantry in melee, and even if they're fighting something they can't win because they're unbreakable and explodes on death, they can inflict significant casualties on whatever that kills them, like my Wrathmongers, doing some substantial value, 1,800 gold on this one, almost 1,000 on the other one as well. And on top of that, the Greenskins are basically buffed constantly by Gorbet here, as long as Gorbet is fighting alongside them, providing some even better melee performance. Though the Black Orcs here, this one didn't get too much value, fighting against Wrathmongers, which are a perfect counter against the Black Orcs, who doesn't have the best melee defense. The rest of the Greenskins army didn't do a whole lot of work here. Mostly the work was done by just the Mangler Squigs and Gorbet himself. As for the Khorne army here, unfortunately, a lot of their units are quite fragile, especially the Blood Beasts. They are not exactly a good unit, actually. Probably some of the worst units in the DLC. They just have underwhelming performance overall. The Khorne, if they can proc their Unbreakable and just keep fighting a bunch of expensive targets, can certainly earn back their value. Otherwise, they are just a more expensive core unit that doesn't have much melee defense or armor. Other than that, the rest of the Khorne units didn't really do well in this battle here, just out-traded by the Greenskins in every turn. Overall, feels like Khorne might have gotten the shaft in this DLC. Don't get me wrong, there's still some pretty good units, like the Khorne, the Regiment of Renowned Skull Cannons, which is actually quite strong. But quite a few of their DLC units feels a bit underwhelming in combat, like the Blood Beasts. That's only my first impression though, and I still need to test them out a bit more. Anyways, that's it for today's video, and I hope you enjoyed the Omens of Destruction multiplayer action. And if you want to see more DLC early access content, be sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Tactical Lich signing out.